Well, it's Sunday. Thought I should pull my finger out and do something useful. I received my cells, so I shall replace those into this battery pack and see how we go. I fully charged those before I started, so if I don't set myself on fire soldering them together, it should be fully charged even before I stick it on a charger. But before I get on with that, I'm going to go and have a look at these party lights on the gazebo. Okay, I'm into my troubleshooting. I started by tightening down this terminal block and the one at the far end up there to see if that made any difference. It didn't. I then disconnected one of the wires at the far end, so it was only running this this power pack. That didn't make a difference. It still came on for 1 second and went off again. So I've reconnected back up there, and what I'm going to do now is disconnect this power pack and see whether we have lights at the far end. Okay, I probed that with a multimeter and said I had 238 volts. I disconnected the wire to that plug pack and turned the power on. Still had no lights at that end. So that tells us it ain't going to be both plug packs. It's going to be some issue here. So I'm going to replace it with a different type of connector. Well, with a bit of a battle I substituted these connectors. Made absolutely no difference. So, okay. So what I did was I ran an extension cord over here and put a different power supply on the controller, and there was no output. Same with the other one. Both of these controllers have packed up. So what are the chances of that? Not a lot to do about that other than look for new controllers on shopping. Well, having verified that both those LED strip power supplies are outputting the requisite 12 volts, it's just the controllers that are stuffed. I've reached meltdown, so I'm going to head home before I even look at doing anything with this. The ambient noise in the lounge room is higher than it was because I brought this UPS over from the shed and set it up to power the PC, screen, the NAS back here, and the switch that connects them. This is because there's been 3 instances now of fairly early in the morning. There's been a glitch on the off-grid system for the house, where for a second or less it has shut off power, and then when it's come back on, well, when I've been able to look at the status display for the off-grid system, it's shown that state of charge was more than 30%, which means it should not have an issue because it's only supposed to shut off power to the house at 20%, and it was importing from power from the shed off-grid system, which it should only start to do when it gets down to 25% at that time of the morning. So I don't know what's going on there. I think the house system has momentarily shut off power, and that has caused an automatic switch over to drawing power from the shed. And then it's come back on again and it's still drawing power from the shed. So I don't know there. But anyway, that upsets a few things. If this PC is running, that means it crashes. 1 out of those 3 instances it was, so that was messy. Because when this thing crashes, it sometimes argues a lot about coming back up again. The NAS goes away, which just got to press it. It doesn't auto restart after a power outage, this one. The other one does. So it just starts up again. This one, you got to press the power button on it, and then it takes about 15 minutes to actually come fully back online again. So those 3 outages caused that thing to need to be restarted, and the range hoods out there, they lose power, and that means I've got to reset the clocks on those, and it's a bit of a pain. So I've got the solar power people sort of, I've told them about the problem and they can't find an issue. So I thought, oh, I'll bugger this for a joke, I'll get this thing back in service. So it provides a buffer for these machines at least. And yeah, so it's added to the ambient noise. I have fan noise from that. The NAS is not quiet. So yeah, lots of fan noise. But you do what you got to do. Oh, and I've ordered a USB to serial converter cable because while this thing has a USB port on it, the PC says it loses communication. So I'm going to go back to the serial cable, which always worked fine, and have a USB to serial adapter. So it's another $9. So that'll come in the next few days, and then I can check on the status. Now, one of the important things is the voltage that it shows for the batteries. From the front panel, I was able to see that it thinks the batteries add up to 111 volts, which is pretty healthy. When it gets down below about 108, you start to think, might have to replace the batteries before long. So these are in pretty good nick, but with the on-screen display it's easier to monitor that sort of thing. And bringing this across from the shed was a bit of an adventure because this thing's, as it sits there, is about 40 kilograms. So what I did was I popped the front panel off, unscrewed the retainer plate and took out the two battery trays, because the two battery trays each have 4 12 volt 9 amp hour batteries in them, and 4 of those in one battery tray. That's fairly heavy, so carried one across, went back, got the other one, carried that across, and Jabida saw me going backwards and forwards and asked if she could help. So I went over and she picked up this bit and brought that over. That was probably around the same weight as the battery trays. So she was glad to put it down, but she insisted on helping. But yeah, so that's all sitting there whirring away now. The fans are actually noisier than they were when I first bought it because I've had this thing for 20 odd years, and the batteries have been replaced numerous times. I've actually replaced 2 fans in the back of it as well at one point. Another thing I got on the go is another one of these pressure tanks. The pump out in the tank shed with that bore there beyond, well, across the other side of this little driveway. That's now connected up to the plumbing in here, and it's got one of those pressure pumps that's going click 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 as the flow doesn't keep up with its pump rate, so the pressure cycles rapidly. So to try and extend the life of that, I'll put a pressure tank on that circuit. It's a matter of where to install it on the circuit, what's going to be convenient. So I was thinking that pipe that runs across the top over there, that's on that circuit, so we could stick this thing on the wall over here, which means building a bracket for it. It's this point here in the tank shed, so it's a matter of can we join into this circuit here, which goes down into the floor and then along underneath that grate. So I'm thinking that maybe put a T in that upright one there, pointing backwards, elbow up and across, up and across and down underneath the, put the bracket on the wall there to hold the pressure tank. I think it might be easier inside the inside that enclosure there at that corner. So yeah, probably go with that. I was thinking for building my brackets and shelf, I could use some of this surplus aluminium rail. This is left over from installing the solar panels a few years ago, and there's 3 full pieces and a smaller piece there, so I've got lots of that. It's just a matter of how I screw things together, so I'm going to have to look at this carefully because it's fairly thin walled, but it's a matter of where I can get the fixing screws or bolts through one into the other. So what I really need is tech screws that are 2 inches long, 50 millimeters. I'll have a look and see what I can find. But I know I only have about 15 millimeter ones in my boxes over there, and the ones they use for putting all their stuff together, like all that stuff up there, that's only 15 or 10 millimeter ones, so they're not long enough for my purposes either, unless I have material like that. For which I would look in the surplus bits here, and that piece looks promising, and a few of those other bits and pieces, so I may be able to do something with what I have out the back here. We shall see. I'm going to have to keep poking through this scrap pile because I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these longer tech screws. They would be long enough. If I can find a 6th one, that might be enough to get up. Ideally I'd have 10. I'll have to look inside to see whether they've got some more of these stashed away somewhere. The answer is yes, lots. So that bit's sorted, and hang them on the wall using the masonry bolts. Now I do have one problem here. I have 2 specific ratcheting spanners which were to be kept with these specifically, and they've gone walkabout. So I'm going to have to ask questions of people who don't understand what I'm talking about. This is going to be fun. Meanwhile, it's getting hot over here. Nine o'clock. Yeah, 26 degrees outside, 94% humidity, so 28 degrees in here and 81% humidity. Yeah, I'm feeling hot already. I'll go back and sweat in the lounge room, cool down there. And it's already Thursday, so I thought I'd better get on with doing something useful this week. So I've marked out the first 4 pieces for this mounting bracket for the pressure tank. There's going to be 8 pieces in all. So there's upright, horizontal, and then there's going to be 2 diagonals between the upright and the horizontal on each side, and because the diagonal is going to be bolted to one of these and the horizontal is also going to be bolted to one of these, there needs to be a spacer. So there's going to be 8 pieces in all. So I've got this piece which will give me probably 6 of them, and then that piece sitting over there which is going to give me the other 2. Yeah, and I've got a fan here to try and keep me cool, but even though it's not yet 9 AM, I've already broken a sweat just getting this far, so I might have to have several bites at this today. So there's all the pieces for the near side of the bracket. That's the far side, so I need a brace on the outside of that, which is this last one here. So 1 cut to go. So that's all those aluminium pieces done. So the next task is going to be starting to drill holes and assemble these pieces together. I've got those long tech screws that I showed you yesterday. In some cases I'll be able to get away with using short tick screws, like through there. And probably, no, that's probably the other place I could use the short ones. Well, on that side anyway. But anyway, I've reached meltdown, so it's time to turn off that fan, pack up my gear here, go away and cool down before I come back and start drilling holes and assembling pieces. And once I've got those pieces assembled together, I can then go and cut my piece of wood, which is going to go across the shelf here, which will, given that's the far side, it will come in, back, across, back, out and across. So that shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, time to go cool down. Okay, that's both sides arranged. So if we're looking from this end, that's the left side, that's the right side. So the idea is the right side will have this exposed on both pieces, so I can bore a hole through there, put a masonry bolt in the wall, hang these on both sides, so I can just put a nut on there and that'll hold the thing up. So I can do Tek screws, or actually all pop rivets through there and through there, there. And then I'll turn them over and see what I can do from the other side. But yeah, I don't have to use the long Tek screws for all of it, fortunately. But I'm at meltdown, so I'm off back to the lounge room to cool down. And I've cleaned up my mess here, not left anything out, because grandson over there, who's in the swing currently, likes to come and take things and run away with them and play keepings off, which is not ideal when you're trying to work with things. Okay, so half an hour or so later I'm back around again for another round. Okay, that's those two brackets completed, and that's about the spacing I need for them. So I need something that's 28 centimetres that way, 25 centimetres that way, and cut out the divots in the corners. And this piece is perfect for it because it's 25 centimetres that way. So I just need to go to 28 that way and I'm good. But I've reached meltdown and it's almost lunchtime, so I'm going to go back to the house, have a change of clothing because I'm saturated with sweat, and then after lunch, when I've cooled down, I'll come back and do this little bit. I broke 3 drill bits on the first bracket and didn't break any on the second bracket. So when you're being very conservative of drill bits, you can actually get by. I think I need to buy some more 1/4 inch drill bits, sorry, 1/8 inch drill bits. Well, that's just what I needed. This UPS seems to have developed some kind of fault. I came back from the shed and all this desktop stuff was turned off. Well, that ain't right. This thing was still running, but I pressed the button to tell it to start up again, and the screen came on, so I thought, okay, I got power, so I pressed the button on the NAS behind it and that started coming up. Turned this on, all good. And that was about 10 or 12 minutes ago, and then there was a click and it's all gone off again. And on the front of this now, we just have a line of P's across the display. So I actually turned it off the power point, and it's currently running on battery, I guess. I need to crawl in there, unplug the power from it and see what is going on. But yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it won't shut down, what I do is I pop the front cover off, slide the battery trays out so it's got no power at all to run its error state. Still dry season, and the weeds sure grow quickly after the rice has been harvested. They'll get ploughed back in, making good organic matter for the fertilisation of the soil. So if it keeps raining, they'll think about actually replanting another crop. so conceivably you get 3 crops of rice for a year. Ta-da! Done. I'm just going to organise a few more plumbing fittings via Azra and get into install this into the circuit somewhere. I saw Azra last night, so I went over this thing with him, indicating the possibilities of where I saw it being installed, and given the limits of his English and my Indonesian, I think we communicated successfully. So when he's free, this will be inserted into the circuit for the pump in the pump shed, tank shed, whatever you want to call that one. I didn't get to this week, but that's next on the agenda, subject to whatever else comes up that needs to be fixed more immediately. But I have hopes of this one working, so we shall see. Indonesian Independence Day has been and gone, so I'm not sure why the decorations are still up, but they'll come down eventually. But yeah, so it's Friday, so it's time to wrap up this video.